Hey everyone out there in podcast land. My name is Mark Burik, and I am here with my guest today, Marine Kinna. And she's not just a guest, but she is a future host of many of these podcasts, as well as anything else we got going on with Better at Beach. So I'm personally thrilled to announce that Marine's joined our team. And she's in full time, and she is our camp coordinator, and she is using her digital marketing degree to help us out and to help spread the word of beach volleyball through our company and help us organize camps and make any of our online services better, easier to find, and all of that good stuff. But for this particular episode, what we're going to be talking about is actually the recruiting scene for NCAA. And since she is originally from France, she has a really unique path to, number one, getting into the NCAA, going through all of that recruiting stuff with coaches, with governments, with visas, and then what it's like to be an international player here, how she finds work, how she pays for the education, how she competes, and all of the problems that come along with that. And then afterwards, now that she's got that education, there's a whole slew of paperwork and visas that we're all still going through and that she's had to put herself through with international lawyers and everything. So we really want to talk a lot about that and get a unique perspective on an international player coming over to the US through college, then competing on the AVP and working and getting involved in the American beach volleyball scene. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get started, I just want to tell you guys a few upcoming camps that we have. And we have got a lot. Now that Marine's on the team, it's going to open us up to be able to run a lot more camps. So, number one, if you are a high level player or coach, or you even want to train as a coach and you want to become a better at beach coach, we would love to train you, to see you in action, and to have some help running some of our camps, because we have AVP players, national team coaches, AVP coaches who are currently running our camps, and we want to add to our staff and send you around the country and hopefully around the world to help players get better at beach. So if you want to be a part of that, number one, you should probably check out the site betteratbeach.com/coach, and you can see all about how we help our coaches, because you have to become a part of the Coach Academy so that you can learn from us. And then we're also going to be coming up with some coaching clinics in the future. So very specifically coaching clinics. And if you have any interest in that at all, at attending a coaching clinic, just DM me at Mark Burik on Instagram and just let me know that you're interested, so that we can fire it up as quickly as we can and hit the ground running. But upcoming camps for our players. Okay? September 13th to 15th. Oh, that's today. Today, right now, is in Asheville, North Carolina. So that's already happening. You're probably too late. But September 23rd to 27th, we're partnering with Queen and King of the Court for their Queen and King of the Court event in Miami, Florida. So we've got 5 days of clinics leading up to that. And then you can see me and Brandon competing, probably starting out in the qualifier. So if you want to see me dust off the rust and attempt to play volleyball, you're more than welcome to come to Miami from the 23rd to the 27th. Then October 11th to 13th, we've got a 3-day mini camp for men's B and double B players. So that's at my private court in Florida, in St. Petersburg. It's one court. It's got an Airbnb on it. It's got a nice, beautiful hot tub, a giant swim spa, a little weight set, and an outdoor shower. So if you're planning on coming to Florida, want to come to Florida, or you live in the St. Pete area and want to attend, we only have 12 spots because it's only one court. And JM Plummer, local legend, is going to be running that one. In Austin, Texas, October 18th to 20th, we have men's and women's B double B and women's B double B in October 18th to 20th as well, but that's happening in Grand Sands in Loveland, Ohio. Our Halloween camp from October 27th to November 3rd is going to be in St. Pete Beach. We're going to be at the Dolphin Resort. So we're changing hotels. PCI is under renovation, and we are going to actually better sand, bigger resort. So I'm really excited about this move to Dolphin Resort in St. Pete Beach. And then November 8th to 10th in Virginia Beach. And the 15th to 17th back in Loveland, Ohio at Grand Sands. November 15th to 17th also in St. Pete, but this time it's a women's BBB. That's in Florida. And I am headed home to Long Island, New York. I'm from Queens, but I'm going home and I will be in Long Island, New York with some of my East Coast buddies, and we will be running the show from November 22nd to 24th. So if you're in Long Island or the New York area and want to come train for 3 days just before Thanksgiving, bring it on. And that very same weekend, we have a 3-day camp for all levels and ages in Scottsdale, Arizona, followed by the very next week, our all-inclusive trip to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. It's going to be awesome. I think we have 5 men's spots left and maybe 7 women's spots left. So I invite you guys to come. And then lastly, we have opened up our private lessons, our private video lessons where you can get your videos analyzed. We can look at your games. We can make a game plan for you and give you the most limiting things that are happening in your match and tell you quickly how to fix it. So our roster is now open. And if you head to betteratbeach.com/film session, you can book a private lesson with me or Brandon and really try to bump up your game and get a watchful eye looking at your skill, your technique, or even if you just want a customized workout program, we can help you design that and we will design it for you in those private sessions. So that's everything we've got going on for the 2024 season. And we're adding more. So if you want to come and coach, or if you want to come to any of those camps, or if you want us to run something in your neighborhood, Marine's going to help us do that. So just shoot us a DM or email support@betteratbeach.com. Without further ado, Marine Kinna's first ever podcast. Welcome, Marine.
Yay, the crowd. Oh, thank you. Happy to be here. Happy to be part of the team.
Yeah, that's I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you've learned so much so fast. I did a little of DJs throwing spaghetti at you and hoping as much sticks as possible. So I'm looking forward to that. And what I really want to talk about to start off with is when you're playing in France, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's sport doesn't come first as a French person in France, the same way that it does, where in the US you have people getting private lessons for their 4-year-olds thinking, gotta pay for college, gotta get a Division I scholarship. So correct me if I'm wrong there, but you also came from an athletic family. Mm-hmm. And what gave you the drive or reason to try to start playing in the US? And then what is the system like starting out in beach volleyball or even indoor volleyball in France?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, France, like you said, it is not, I wouldn't say it's not a sports country. I think people do sport, but I don't think they do. It's not as important as it is in the US. Like people are going to do sport on Sunday. They're going to go play paddle tennis. They're going to go have fun. But it's not as competitive as it is in the US. But I also think that in the US, because college is so expensive, sports is a way to get free education. Mm. But for me, I came from an athletic family. My mom played tennis. My dad played volleyball. So I grew up playing tennis my entire life. And then when I was 14, started playing volleyball. In volleyball, actually, in France, there's only like 8 high school that specialize in volleyball, where you're going to practice every day with a school team, basically. And
like
so
all year round?
All year round. But
so is that like Vong in Norway, like the Norwegian, the Norwegian high school, where you're there in that high school just for beach volleyball? Is it like that?
It's similar. Yeah. It's so similar. It'll be specialized high school that it's not only for volleyball, like certain school have different sport, but that'll be like a specialized school for athletes. So when I first started, after my first year playing indoor, I got recruited in one of those high school, which was far. Like the closest from my house was about 3 hours away, and then I didn't get recruited to that one, so I ended up being 5 hours away in the middle of France. I was in boarding school, and then I was in a host family in the weekend because I couldn't go home.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was intense because I
You
really
can't
wanted to
even
play.
stay at the high school during the weekends?
No, not in mine. Certain high school you could, because their like facility was like right outside the high school. But in my high school, I couldn't stay, because my boarding school was related to my high school.
Okay.
So it was pretty intense. But through that, I also was playing through a club in the weekend, which was a pro club indoor. Um, so I was able to get pretty good pretty fast because of
Mm.
I was playing volleyball all the time, basically.
Yeah, you always have
But
a coach's eye on you. You're
yeah,
playing nonstop, and it's almost impossible not to get better quick there.
yeah, 100%. But the different here, but also like since there's only 8 high school around, maybe more now, I'm not sure the exact number, but the teams is probably like 15 girls. So it's not that many girls are not going to all of those high school, if that makes sense. You know, a lot of
Okay.
volleyball players don't have access to that because, first of all, it's expensive. You still have to pay for boarding school. Like, there's no scholarships. You know, you pay
Mm.
for boarding school. Like, if I'm in another like state, technically, another region of France, so you still need some kind of funding because there's a host family. Like, you need to get food, you need something. So it's an investment, not
Mm.
as going into college, but I would say like a year cost around 2,000 euros, which in the US is probably nothing.
Yeah,
but but
because
in
I'm thinking about
France,
my
yeah,
high school. I
yeah.
think was I went to a private high school, and
hmm
that was maybe 4 to 5 thousand a month then, and I
Yeah,
imagine it has to have like I don't know it doubled by now. I'm not completely positive,
yeah,
um, but yeah, there are definitely more high schools that are
100%. But
super expensive.
in France, just think that sport is viewed as free. So like if you have a coach, it's a volunteer. You know, like they don't get something out of it. You know, it's not
Yeah.
like I'm gonna go book that coach because he's great. No, it's like, oh, this is the coach of the club. You're gonna play for that club. That's it.
Hmm.
Um,
How do clubs exist in France? Are they through? Do they have local sponsorships, like local companies that are there supporting them? Is there government funding? Because I know in Norway, where I played indoor,
mhm,
just to have a club, so long as you included certain programs, the government gave you money to organize that club.
mhm. Yeah. Um, it's local funding, really, local
Okay.
sponsored. I think the city helps. I do think so. I'm not 100% sure. I've never been like in the outside, like inside of a making a club, but it's definitely local sponsors, volunteer. Like I
Hmm.
said, volunteer coach. Like if there's events like hosting games, there's a lot of volunteers everywhere. Like it's more like passion. Like if
Sure.
honestly, then that will create a club.
Yeah. So
And
the idea of a kid paying like 150, $200 an hour for a private lesson in France is
it doesn't exist.
sounds like
Like,
crazy.
there's just I don't even think it's a something. Like I don't even know if it's an option, honestly.
I remember I
Um,
went to Paris, not Paris Volley, but there's a beach
Stem
club
system,
in Paris.
maybe.
Maybe. It was with my good buddy Pierre Basset,
Yeah.
and he was just like, "Ah, I I don't think you're gonna get people to pay for training here." And I was like,
hmm
what do you mean? It's gonna be like a 6 hour training. Like I'm gonna be out there sweating and teaching and everything. He goes, no one pays to learn sports
hmm
in this country. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right. So I just went and did a free clinic. We had as many people as we could, and then we had some, Vaughn and
Yeah.
fromage afterwards.
Yeah. I think like maybe you can like for example. a camp, like, or 3 day something, would be like
Mm,
100, 200 euros
mm.
max. That's like pushing, that's like pushing the limits. But I do think it's getting better, because they see how other countries
Mm.
do it. But before, like when I was growing up and like indoor, it was definitely, there was no like private lesson type of thing,
See,
but
this is wild to me because I'm thinking, number one, Pro A France is that was one of my dreams to play Pro A France. I got recruited to play Pro B, and was like a day away from flying to the club, and then they decided to go with somebody else, and so I was like, oh man, I lost that dream of playing in France. But when you're playing in Pro A compared to the leagues that I was in, so I played in Croatia, Sweden, Norway, the the guys that were hitting the ball, I mean, it's like 10, 15 miles per hour faster on their arms, and the angles were insane. So Pro A France for indoor is an insanely high level
Mhm.
of volleyball, and men's and women's. So how does that come about when? And I tend to think that some of the French coaches are geniuses,
Mhm.
in the way that you guys think about it. I even follow a tennis coach. I don't even know his last name, but I follow him, like Morgalatu. Um, he's got like 2 million followers, but they talk so much about eye dominance and how to position their players and like change positions and change technique versus dependent on which eye is dominant. And even something like that, I go, there's no American coach who I've ever heard mention a thing about which is your stronger eye.
Mhm.
Um, so I tend to think that the coaching programs there are elite because you've got crazy elite teams, and
Yeah.
France for the Olympics is always in the medal rounds.
Yeah. I mean, the men's side won 2 times in a row, which is amazing. And I think it's also why on the men's side, like the sports grew so much. The women's side, I think we're getting there. Like, because we hosted the Olympics, we obviously had a spot for the indoor team.
Mm,
But I think the girls are getting better, stronger. But I think the difference at an early age of what friends do is, as soon as you get better, as soon as you're like the coach see potential, they're going to put you in an adult team. So you're going to play with people that have a lot of experience and you're going to learn from them. So
huh.
yeah, and at 13 years old I was playing with adults, like not 13, like 14, 15 I was playing with adults. And like playing with adults at that early age, you learn from them. You learn from like their experience. And
Yeah.
also because France in their pro league, they have to have a quota of French people in the team.
Okay.
So that gets, so like people like me, when I was growing up at 16, 17, when I was in that high school, I was able to play pro
Mm.
on the bench, but I was still able to be there, get to all the practices, have pro coaching at an early age, and
Wow.
play with those international players that were coming to France to play. And I was able
Yeah.
to practice with them
And they're
because the
15
system
years
helped me. Yes.
stronger than you, bigger than you, more
Yeah.
experienced,
And
and you
I'm
got to
like,
pick
yeah,
it
it
up
was
quick.
insane. Yeah, yeah. And but the coaches treat you like them. Like, you've heard about, like, I mean, you've probably been coached by Europeans. It's they're push you.
Yeah.
They're pretty tough. They're not gonna try to make you feel better about yourself. Uh, I cried a couple times.
We all
um,
have. Yeah.
yeah, but um, it's a different approach, I think, than the American coaches. It's more like reps like. Um, but I do think it's working in a way that now like French players are getting better and better.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Do you? This is one of the questions that I'm like really interested in, because when we talk about German coaches, any Eastern Bloc coaches, like
Yeah.
Croatian, when I went there, Russian coaches, even the Russians that come to our camps who have now moved to
Hmm.
Seattle, they're like, stop complimenting me. Stop telling me nice rep. Like when I hit the ball on my forearm, like tell me
Yeah.
what I'm doing wrong. And it's cultural, I
Mm-hmm.
think, because if you grow up thinking that this is the way you're taught and the way to get better, then you actually believe in that a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody like me from New York, for example, coming out to California for the first however many years, anytime somebody gave me a compliment, I was like, I didn't trust them. I thought, they're up
But
to something,
yeah.
because usually it's followed, like you get a compliment followed by an insult because they're making
Yeah.
fun of you, and then
Yeah.
you insult them back, and then now we're having a conversation. But coming out to California, it is true. It's real
Mm-hmm.
soft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I had to adjust to that. And then the Russians who come to our camps where we're promoting community and positivity and everything, they're like, I need you to yell at me a little bit. So then we send them over to DJ and JM, and we're like, we're going to give you the flat coaches that are tough on you. And then anybody who wants to smile, come on over here.
Yeah. No,
So
I mean,
for like American coaches, Brazilian coaches, I don't know any other like nationality coaches, but do you find what are the style differences that you've personally noticed?
yeah, I think everyone is different. Like even like similar, like European have similar coaches, but I do think that every coach has a different way of coaching. And I do think that not every player are gonna like the same coaching.
Yeah,
especially in beach volleyball, like you kind of have the choice to pick what you want. Like in indoor, it's a big team, so you kind of go with it and it doesn't affect you as much, I believe. But in beach volleyball, like it's only a couple people, like two, and then I think the coaching style affects you more. But how I see it now, it's American style is more like understanding why. Like it's more like, oh, like you did that, like why? And how I got coached so far. And also it's more like this is great, like this is good. It's always like positive, and more like play like style drills.
Okay.
Brazilian, it's reps, cardio. Let's see how many times you can hit that spot while you're tired, for example, which is also good. And then European, I think it's technique, reps like, a little slower, but more like, no, this was good. Like,
Okay.
but it's more like no, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again until you actually get it.
So is there an obsession with technique over decision making in the stereotypical European coach in your experience?
Yeah, I think early on they will try to fix your technique.
Okay.
But I do think that afterwards, like when you're playing professional, they're not going to try to fix your technique anymore. They're mostly going to try to fix your finishes. It's like, okay, if this is your way of hitting that line, that's fine, but just you have to be able to hit that line over and over and over again.
Yeah. I'd
So
say if you get to that level, if you get to that high level, like your
if you
technique's
get to that high level,
it's got it done.
yes.
It has gotten it done. And
Yeah.
you look at like, okay, Phil Dowser, all right, he's winning AVPs and he's 2 years into the AVP. It's like, hey man, should we fix your approach? Should we, should we like get you off of the goofy foot?
Yeah.
You just say like, okay, hey, this has gotten you this far, and you can either go through 2 years, maybe a year of recalibrating, relearning, teaching your nervous system to do something completely different, and then perfecting that. Or, hey, this is what you got. This is what we're going to continue on, and now we're going to get as good as possible from there. Unless I think if there's something that's super limiting, obviously, pick it apart. Give them the reminders of good technique just in case you start getting lazy during practice. But okay, yeah, that's kind of been my experience as well. A lot more conversational with American coaches and getting into I think maybe we've overdone it with, I'm not saying that like mental health is the wrong way to go, but we might be sliding to being a little bit too soft. Like, let's have enough conversation and start playing, because I could tell you how to play volleyball for 10 years. And until you do it for 10 years, you're not going to have that. So if you keep having extended conversation during practices, like me, I'm a work mentality. So just let's go reps. I do want to understand it, but that's my water break. Like, as I'm drinking water, I want to know the why, just so that I can apply it in the future.
Yeah.
And so that I could teach it. I've always known that I wanted to be a coach. I enjoy coaching. So I'm like, how do I help get what you're trying to get me to do into another athlete, and why? So I always wanted the why, but never once did I interrupt practice and stop things to be like, da, 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 da. It was always during a water break or after practice, hunt down the coach and say, like, get me into your brain, please.
Yeah. No, but to add on to that, I do think that every coaching style has its time in a season. You know, I do think that it's good to know why if you're trying to fix something. And I do think that once you know why, then let's do the reps. Once you've done the reps, okay, let's do the reps, and like, let's get you exhausted while doing the reps. You know, I do think that there is a time that I think that everyone should experience different coaching styles to see what worked for them. But yeah, it's still different. Everyone is different. Every coach is different. But I think we can get better while you have a coach. Any coach can get you better.
All of them have results.
Yes, you know, all of them are results.
U.S. has gold medals, like European style has gold medals. Brazilians got a ton of gold medals. Yeah. So it's all working. There's way more than one way to coach, way more than one way to teach a technique or connect with an athlete. And it's just up to the coach. I think that coaching, you should be comfortable in your own skin and say, okay, I have my personality, but at the same time, don't just say, this is who I am, this is how I coach. Like, know who you're turning off, know who you're turning on, and study that as well. Like, every time you lose an athlete, or every time some athlete just, you don't get along with them, figure out why, so that if there's one word or a different way to phrase something, learn how to hold on to that athlete or to that team member. And I lost a lot of athletes because I coached for a while the same way that I trained. Just put your head down, let's go. You're injured, so what? You're sick, so what? Get it done, show up. And that's how I treat a lot of my life. But if you treat your players exclusively like that, there are the ones that you just lose. You know, and they're like, he doesn't care about me. He didn't even say, how are you? You know, I'm like, well, I see you. You're standing. You're probably fine, right?
No, 100%. 100%. I agree.
Yeah. So I've had to calibrate my coaching then as well. Like, my coaching turned into a big business. So now how do I create other coaches that can create a community? Because our whole style is community. Can the players from our camp meet each other and in 3 days have somebody's house to stay in across the country? And we've done that successfully, and I'm proud of that, because that's how my career went as well. It's like, you make friends somewhere, okay, now you've got a couch to sleep on in California.
Yeah.
How cool is that? So let's promote that, because I think some people are,
no,
it's tough to make friends
100%.
as an adult. It really is.
Yeah. No, it is 100%. And I do, even for us, like, I coached to so many camps, and like, now our roommates are from Better Beach. Like,
that's true.
That's pretty insane. Like, it's pretty insane. And like, it's so cool. Like, as a coach, like when I went to Chicago, when I went to any AVP, like, so many people from Better Beach came and talked to me. They were just like so excited to just see me play, because they saw me coach, and I just was like, oh, hey, like, this was, and it's great a feeling. It's a great feeling, honestly. And that's one of the things I love about camps, honest. It's meeting the people.
Yeah. And then after volleyball, which lasts, for some people, it lasts your whole life. But for some people, like the competitive phase where you're going after it, you know, to me, it lasted till I was 37, 38. And then I don't really have competitive juice. Now I just have play juice left. You know, like, I want to play sports. Do I really want to go through 3 12-hour days in another place away from my family just to maybe make a few $1,000, like, and it's a very maybe. I spent all of that hardcore competitiveness, and now I'm just like, I'm playing, and it's still, they're enjoyable in different ways. But accepting that was hard, and I think it took one speech from Wayne Gretzky where he was talking about playing with his kids, and he goes, yeah, I've seen the Michael Jordan documentary where he's still picking fights and laying down bets at 55, 60 years old, and getting like super aggressive and telling LeBron that he would still beat him. And then Wayne Gretzky was like, yeah, I saw that documentary. He goes, me and Mike are not the same, two of the greatest in their sports of all time. And he's like, once I was done playing, I was done competing. I will be out on any lake, any rink, and be happily there, but I don't need to score any more points than anybody else anymore, and I'm really happy with it. And so that one podcast was like, okay, I can settle myself down and not think that anything's like wrong with me for not feeling that crazy competitive juice. And I still have the drive, I still have the work ethic, which I think has carried into other things. But yeah, regardless, we've gone a bit off track. So let's get back to Marine as a 13, 14, 15-year-old playing in high school, saying, what's the next step, and who mentions that first? When did the whispers of coming to the US to play beach volleyball start?
Yeah. So, like I said, my dad was playing indoor volleyball, and him growing up, he actually went to an American high school in Greece. So he always had, a long story, but so my dad always had a connection to the USA. So he already know like kind of the system, how sports and classes work. When I was 16, 17, I believe that he told me about it. He was just like, oh, have you ever thought like you should go play in the US? Like it would be so fun. You get to play and you get to study at the same time. And it's made for it, which in the opposite, in France, we have a really hard time finding for school and sport, high level sport, to be compatible. They don't get along. Since we're not a sports country and you don't play for your school like in the US, the school don't really care, and the club don't really care if you don't study. They pay you to play, so they don't really care if you don't succeed in your studies. So I had two choices. I had one choice to go pro indoor, stay in France, and try to study. I knew as a woman, professional athlete, that it's not forever. And I knew I wanted to have an education. And it was something also mandatory from my parents. They're like, we want you to go to school. And I wanted to study. I really wanted to have something out of it. Because you never know what happened in high level sport. All of a sudden, an injury happened and then you're out. It's over. So I wanted to have a backup plan. Okay. So I started.
It's so mature. I had none of that.
Yeah, but I
just
do
like,
also
I'm going
think...
to college for sports, and then they told me that I could study sports while I played sports in college. So I was like, exercise science? Yes.
Yeah. No, but I get it. And then also I do think as a men's pro volleyball, like when you go overseas, you can still make a good amount of money. As a woman, I was on the outside hitter. Yes, I'm still 5'11", but the girls are getting taller and taller, and I knew that I would never get to the best league. Like I would never go to Italy or play in Turkey or the best women leagues. I could still go like play a professional in France and like other country probably, but I would never touch those high salaries that I could always live from and like put aside and kind of have a couple years if I'm done after and have money on the side. Like it will be like a regular job salary. That's how women's sport volleyball is at the moment, which is fine while you play, but then once you're done, I wanted to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, my dad, when he mentioned me that, he contacted a sports agency who sends athletes in the US. They were mostly known for tennis because it was already something that happened in tennis, couple
Mm.
volleyball players, but not a lot. And they kind of guide me through the journey of how to get recruited for indoor volleyball.
Do you think they were
Um,
helpful? Did they do a lot for you? I've heard mixed reviews from different
yeah,
agencies who are just like, yeah, I paid them a couple $1,000, but
yeah,
they told me to send an email, and then I sent an email, and then the rest
yeah,
happened.
that's it. Yeah. I would say the thing is that I do think that the resources are not out there. So
Okay.
they were helping my first year when I got recruited. I understood everything, and then I was like, "This is what I paid for," and I like I was like, I could have done that myself.
Mm,
But like I do think that it's nice to have someone that know the process to talk to if you have question because parents get worried. Like they're sending their kid all the way in the other part of the world. And so it's like, how do you know if it's legit? Um,
true.
yeah, so that was the first worry. But since my dad kind of knew about it, I already have him. But I do think that I could have done without it if I have made more research into it.
Okay, like a few YouTube videos or
Yeah, if
whatnot,
I had, but I do think that those resources don't exist at the moment yet.
which is why. Which
But
is
yeah,
for anybody
uh,
who's listening, this is part of the development that we're going in. Since Marine has that experience and has gone through it, the next level of Better at Beach coming in 2025 is going to be helping juniors, number one, fix their game and their lifting and their strategy and technique to be able to get to that college level. So we're going to have a dedicated juniors program that we can help online and help them lifting and help with their technique and do video reviews, as well as get the tutelage of Marine and other players who have gone through the recruiting and college process. So if you are listening, if you think that this is somebody that maybe you know or somebody who's interested in, please turn them onto our podcast because the next few episodes we're going to be talking with Marine and we're going to be bringing on some other NCAA players who have been through this both international and domestic process. And we're going to continue to develop that. And then we're going to make it into a little online program and a course so that, hey, here you go. We're not going to be this gigantic agency, but we will get you to where you need to be and answer all of the questions. And we'll have weekly meetings so that you can come and talk to a person whenever you want and use our community to talk to people who will answer questions quickly. So if that's something you're interested in, or you know somebody who is starting to get to that level, please send them our way. Prepare for 2025. It's going to take a long time to build and do it right, but that is the next step in the evolution of Better at Beach to start helping juniors get to college.
yeah.
Okay, so you're there. You've now hired this agency. He's telling you,
hmm
but what's the first step? Getting video, or
So the first step was they they watched my video, and from there they got to kind of evaluate me on what type of scholarship they think I could get.
okay?
Just think those are not volleyball people that are watching me play.
Hmm.
But my thing
Yikes.
was, yeah, my thing was if I don't get a full scholarship, I can go. Like that was mandatory. I can get free school in France. So in my mind, it was like, you get me free school, I will go. If I don't get that, I will figure my way out in France.
Okay.
I didn't want to put that amount of money on my family, knowing that French university is free, or so it's we don't have this same like we're not ready to take a loan for like $1,000, knowing I could get really good
Hundreds
education
of
here.
thousands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, So once I said that, they were like, okay, then it might be a little difficult, but I was like, okay, then let's just try. Um, I created a video, and I they should have done a better job, honestly. I never made a video, so I was like, what do I need to put? Um, like the highlights. I wasn't sure, honestly, how it worked. Um, I created a video. It was fine. I needed to give them like my choices of location in the US. I wanted to go.
Which is
I
tough.
Yeah, I was like,
Already.
yeah, and I was like, okay, I'll pick only one I knew. It was like California, Florida. Like I picked like the really nice one, and after that, you need as an international, you need to pass. Depending on which country you're from, it kind of differ. But for France, I had to pass the TOEFL and
What's
the
that?
essay. The TOEFL is just a test, like it's a 4 hour test who gives you a score and evaluate your English.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And depending on the score you get, then each school in the US, each university has a minimum score that you have to have for that specific test. And if you don't get that score, then you can't get in that school, for example.
So first things first, learn English.
Learn English. Yeah.
Huh. That's
Huge.
such a good point. You can't.
Yeah. But
Okay. Have you
wait.
experienced other players that like were so budget at English? Because I know
Oh,
that
100%.
we had a Brazilian play for George
Exactly. I was
Mason
gonna say, no
who,
offense to
no
Brazilians.
shot,
Yeah.
her Spanish friend from Puerto Rico was doing all
Yeah.
of her homework.
Yeah. No, it's so you need to have a minimum of that. And then I did the SAT. So like someone's SAT that of the year, I forgot which year it was, like in 2016, the same ACT that someone would take in high school, I had to take the same, knowing I never studied in English. I was like,
Wow.
we'll see what happens. But they do give you like books and everything that you can study. But the TOEFL score is the most important one. But each school has kind of their requirements for international students.
Okay.
So when I got recruited, my English, I would say, was better than average as a French person because my dad was speaking English. My sister loves the USA, so I always was listening into English, like the movies. I would always watch like YouTube video in English.
Hmm.
So my hearing, I could understand it very well, but um, I would not speak as fluently as obviously I'm speaking now. Um, but I could understand it very well. But what happened is I messed up my test. So
Hmm.
when I did my test, you're in a room with 30 other people, and you have a writing part, a hearing part, you're listening, and then a speaking part. And I was really good at hearing, and when I was listening, the person next to me was doing their speaking. So when I tell you, my brain was just fried because they were speaking so loud and I was trying to listen and I was like, oh my God, this is the worst time of my
That's
life.
terrible.
That was
Yeah.
terrible. That was terrible because it's time. And so whatever, like depending, they were going faster than me. So they were at the next part and then it kind of just messed me up. Not an excuse, but anyway, my score was not as high as I hoped it was going to be. Um, and honestly, compared to my level of English, it was not as high as it should have been.
Mm.
So my freshman year, I actually got recruited in a JUCO. So
Okay.
I
Which is a
went
junior college.
junior college.
Could
So
you expound on what a junior college difference is between a university? And by the way, like college and university, in if you're listening internationally, university and college are essentially the same thing. So when we say
mhm,
college and university, we
yeah,
mean the exact same
the
thing.
exact same thing. Yeah,
There is little differences, like when you talk about a game and a set in volleyball, it's like, yes, you can be more specific. But when we say university and college, it means the same
yeah,
thing. So you went to a junior college.
yeah,
And the difference between that is usually they're going to get you an associate's degree
Mm-hmm.
which is about a 2-year
2
degree, but not a
years.
full bachelor's. So they're getting you
Yes.
kind of half of the way there or competent enough to be in the workforce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and as a volleyball player, usually when you spend time on a JUCO, a junior college, then you can transfer that associate degree that you got to a 4-year. So you'll always already be like a sophomore, and then you can finish your bachelor degree with
Yeah.
those 2 years. But yeah, I get recruited in Colorado, middle of nowhere. It was Otero Junior College. It was in a city called La Junta, which is about the biggest city was 30 minutes away, which was Pueblo. So if you're from Colorado, you know how small that place is. I remember it was about 2 hours from Denver, and I remember driving from the airport to that college the first time in the middle of the cows. This smell. I was just like, oh my God, where am I going? No idea. From France, like I love Colorado now, but I didn't know where Colorado was. Like it was not one of those states that I heard about it, but I didn't know where it was in the US. Like I had no idea what was there. So I go there and
So you took it?
Oh yeah,
So
I
okay, so
went.
they gave so you sent
Oh yeah,
a good enough recruiting video
good
that
enough
a
recruiting video.
coach looked at it and said, "Yeah, come join our team."
Yes.
And good enough TOEFL scores, the English test scores,
Yeah.
to get you over there competing for a college, a junior
Yeah.
college. Okay.
So I forgot to mention, junior college, their requirement is lower. Because those
Okay.
are 2 years and they're smaller schools, they usually help you. Like a lot of people that don't have a good English will end up in junior college first just to get their English right, um, and to be able to transfer.
Okay.
So that's what happened to me. I had meeting like video calls with the coach, and then they end up offering me a full scholarship, which I took, and I left at 17-year-old in August. I was like, here we go. The 2 weeks before I left, I was like, I'm not going. I was like, this is scary. I'm gonna be alone in Colorado. I don't know anyone. And I was like doubting myself, like my English. I was like, how am I gonna survive? It was, but the day of, I left, and I actually was 17 years old. And when we were at the airport, they were like, you can't go alone. Like you're 17 years old. And I was like, oh my God,
Oh,
panic mode. I passed security and they were like, you can't go alone. Like you need an authorization from your parents. So panicking, running to the airport, needed to call my dad to come back to give me like a paper saying like I authorize my child to go to the USA. But it
wow.
was really, really stressful because you leaving by yourself on the other side of the world,
Yeah,
basically.
and airlines don't really tell you that. I mean, some of them do now in the sign up process, but they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay, here's your date of birth. You need a paper. You need somebody to walk you past the security gate. You need somebody to pick you up at the arrival gate." I
Yeah.
just went through that with my nephews, and I was like, "Well, that's good, but
Yeah.
also the airlines don't exactly
No.
make that loud and clear."
And that also what my the agency I went through, they didn't tell me. Like they knew I was like 17, and that was so it was pretty I was pretty panicking. But then I was
How
able to
many
go.
how many emails did you send to different colleges, or were they the ones specifically talking for you?
Yes. So they were the one sending the emails. So I'm not sure how many emails.
Could have been one.
But could have been one, could have been, I don't know. But I've heard now that I've been in college and I've heard from other coaches, and I've also helped some French girls come to the US.
Great.
It's better to use or your personal email or an email that's like with a first name, not directly from an agency. Just because they see the agency email and they're like, okay, we have so many of those.
Really?
Yeah. So when it's
Ah,
like a personalized email, when they care about the school, they actually made research and everything. And those are the emails that usually coaches are gonna look more for.
okay. So no blanket statements, no anything, I suppose you could like fake it at this point with ChatGPT saying,
Yeah.
I'm sending an email, please do research on
Yeah.
this college.
But
Yeah.
I do think you can get recruited the other way, but if you really want something, if you really want a specific school, include that in the email.
Got it.
100%.
Okay, so put your name on your email address and make sure that you send personal outreach. And then coaches get hundreds, if not thousands, of these. So if you don't hear back from them the first time, send 30 more.
Yeah.
Just copy paste, because most of the time they're just scrolling and they see it, or they're too busy one day. And this is, kind of basic marketing, but if you hear crickets the first time, it doesn't mean it's because they're not interested. Because they have a full-time job and a family and current athletes that they're working with. And some of them only have one person on their coaching staff to handle all of those hundreds of emails. So just for anything in life, but definitely for this, for getting recruited or for getting a job, continue to pester, and don't feel like you're pestering them. Just assume they probably didn't see it. They're probably slammed and so busy. So maybe I sent it on the wrong day at the wrong hour. So I'm just going to keep trying until they give me the no or yes response. But when you don't hear a response, my recommendation is continue to call, email, text until at least you get a response, and then hear from them. But if you don't hear
100%.
anything, just keep going.
Yeah.
Copy paste. Send
get
again.
a no. Get to people to say no.
I like that.
Yeah. But anyway, so I get recruited, and then I was telling friends at the time, I need to get into school. So I just need to do a regular admission process through the website. They just ask you for documents, you just do the admission process. And from there, when I got admitted to my school, then I can apply for my student visa.
Okay.
Yeah. So from the student visa, they give you a requirement, they give you like a to-do list that you need to do. Once you apply it and put all the documents they ask you to put and everything, then you apply for an interview. So in an interview, then you have to go to the US Embassy in France, for example. Yes, so you have to go there. So for me, it was in Paris. I am from the south of France. So it was a travel. Like I needed to go travel. You go
just
to
to
your
file
appointment.
paperwork.
Just to file paperwork, because it's basically an interview. They ask you, what are you going to do there? What are you going to study? How are you going to pay for this? And the most important thing is like, are you planning on staying in the US? And yeah, because they basically want you to have something to come back in your country, because they want you to get your study, go back to your country, basically.
That's so interesting. Why would we educate, spend resources and like American resources to educate somebody and then kick them out again? That, to me, that just seems so backwards.
There's the system. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But basically the most important thing is showing, for example, I had a full scholarship. So you could see on the paperwork I had from the school admission, and then it shows my scholarship amount, but then I still needed to show some type of funding for living life, like, yes, I had the food cover, I had housing cover, but it's like, okay, but you still need something just in case if anything happened. I needed to show some type of funding that I had,
that you have enough money to like fly back if you get expelled or something like that.
They don't want people to just become homeless, for example, to just be out of money and
be stuck in the US.
Yeah, be stuck in the US.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's like a bank account thing?
Yeah, a bank statement, or your bank saying, like, for example, like, I was 17, I never worked, I don't have any money. My mom, like, my bank made a statement that my mom will be responsible with her accounts of me if anything happened, for example. But again, this will be written down of every paperwork that you need to bring. It's pretty straightforward, honestly. It's just a lot of paperwork to fill. You have to go to the embassy. Once you're at the embassy and you had a successful interview, they take your passport, and you go back home. And after that, after 2 weeks, usually receive your passport, and then you have your visa in it.
Okay.
So your student visa. Once you have your student visa, then you can leave to the US and you're fine, basically.
The next question that I have for you have a student visa, and they want you to have enough money in your account to be able to survive. But is it true that you can't work while being in the US as a student visa, so that like you actually can't even provide for yourself legally while you're getting an education? Is that true?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. Yes and no. So basically, your first semester, you're not allowed to work at all. They want you to get into the system, understand the system of the US, of the school and everything. I believe after your first semester of freshman year, you're allowed to work for the school.
Okay.
So you can work, I don't know, there's couple student jobs depending on your school, like during a tour but also keep in mind, you're busy.
Yeah.
It's not that like you have practice every single day, you have classes in a new language, you have homework. It's not that easy to just go and work. It's more made for people that don't have sport, like other students that don't have sport.
Yeah. I was just thinking I had to work 3-4 jobs in college and work during the summer just to make sure that I had, everything else set.
Which is
and it seems
insane.
so unfair.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. Okay.
But so my freshman year, I didn't work and I didn't have a lot of expenses. Like everything, I was lucky that everything was covered for me. So my expenses were very, very little. But after my freshman year, my English was great. I was lucky that I landed in a college, Colorado, in the middle of nowhere, but I loved it. Honestly, I would have stayed if the volleyball level was better because the people were awesome. I was the only French person in the university, which in few months, I had to communicate. So I obviously, like, my English got better so fast. Yeah, like in a couple months, I was basically fluent, which I'm so grateful for that. Because, next story, when I transferred, I then transferred because I wanted to have better volleyball. I was playing at junior college. We were good. I started understanding the indoor system, how NCAA, which is the JUCO, then there is NAIA, then there is NCAA Division 3, NCAA Division 2, NCAA Division 1. Before that, I had no idea. Like before my freshman year, no idea how it worked.
Even before you're doing this process, you didn't know D1, D2, D3, NAI. Okay.
NCAA, everyone is like, oh, NCAA D1, NCAA D1, not thinking like there is other things. But I started making my research and I wanted to transfer to have better volleyball. I love the people, but I came for volleyball. I wanted to pursue that and go into a better team. So after my freshman year, which is not really common for a junior college, not a lot of people transfer after their freshman year because I basically didn't finish my associate's degree. I started making a new video. And this time I asked other people, how do you do it? What do I need to put? And then I made a new highlight video, and then I had on the side, I had a full game ready to send to coaches. So they see
Nice.
me, like, how do I
Between
react?
points, the
Yes, yes.
interactions, what's
Yeah,
your body language? Yeah.
yeah. But first, to make myself look good, I will always send a highlight. When they show interest, then I will say, here's a full game.
Here's a
And
taste. I'll give you the whole
yes,
meal if you're interested. Okay.
yeah. And I was lucky that in my junior college, I was a full around outside hitter. So I had couple like rewards. I
Oh, we're
forgot
still playing
exactly.
indoor. You're not even playing beach
Yes,
volleyball
I'm
yet.
playing indoor. I'm playing
My
indoor.
gosh. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So outside hitter, all tournament around, tournament awards or a couple awards. So it looked good. It looked better because now coaches see that I'm in the American system. They understand everything and they can see my stats from the junior college website and everything. I get contacted by multiple schools. I got couple D1 offers and I got couple D2s offer from my indoor. Um, and one of them actually offered me to play beach and indoor, but they wanted me to stay another year and finish my associate degree. But I wanted to leave, honestly. I loved it, but I just wanted to have a better volleyball. So I got recruited at Lynn University, which is in Boca Raton. It's a Division two, but it's a top 25 Division two program in the country.
Wow. And just
And
so everybody who
yes,
is listening, if you don't know Division One, Division Two, Division Three, those are all NCAA.
yeah,
Division One is essentially a dedication of finances by the university to their sport programs. So it's as much funding as you can get, and that usually translates into they have more scholarship, more athletic scholarship money available. D2 has some scholarships, and there's a little bit less time that's mandatory for practice and training from the athletes. And then D3 is essentially one season, and they're not allowed to do too much like off-season training, and there's usually no scholarships, but they might still have academic scholarships. And in a IA, I don't think anybody knows any rules that they have. You could be a 35-year-old professional athlete who just finished in the Olympics and go to college.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. NCAA D3, they actually don't have any athletic scholarship. So for international, it's kind of hard to go to those just because it's kind of what we're hoping for. But in D1 and D2 and NAIA, they have a lot of athletic scholarship, especially like at that time for indoor. They had a lot of scholarship for them. So I get recruited in a Division two in Florida. Um, the now that I understood the process, it was a lot easier for me to get recruited. I personally emailed school and I found that one, which was actually their record was pretty bad, but it was in Florida. I wanted the sun. It was closer to France, which was only like a 8-hour flight, and only 6 hours time difference. And the school itself was amazing. And they offered me a full scholarship also.
Right.
Yeah, so I was able to fly my second year and start my new university, my sophomore year in a university. So now it was a 4-year university. Knowing I already did 1 year, then I only had 3 years left of eligibility for indoor. Going there honestly was amazing. I really struggled my sophomore year because you play with players that are actually really older than you. There was players that were 5 years older because they were seniors or grad students, and I was just an 18-year-old sophomore.
A young
And I
sophomore,
was
yeah.
young sophomore because in France, like since I'm born at the end of the year, like it's a little different than the US. I'm still in the same school, the grade school, as someone that will be born in January 1st. So it's no matter what year, if you're born the same year as one person, then you're going to be in the same class.
Okay.
So I graduated early for an American for the American system. So I'm a young sophomore, and it was great. I had actually a really hard time because I was such an all-around player in my junior college. Now they only recruited all-around players. So I'm not an anchor anymore. I'm not the one carrying the team. So it was really tough. And my sophomore year, and then I had a change of mindset, worked really hard, improved my jump from, I don't know, 10 inches, I think. I'm not sure exactly, but huge improvement in my jump. And then the next year, my junior year, we come back, I play, and then we win the first trophy for the school for volleyball, which was
Wow.
amazing. And I was the first team All-American for that school in volleyball.
Yay!
Yeah, which was incredible.
If you could
Honestly.
pinpoint in one
Yes.
sentence the difference that brought your vertical up. So you decided, okay, I got to get more physical, I guess.
Yes.
If you could say in one sentence what the major change was, what was that physical dedication that brought the new vertical?
Working out. Honestly. I and that's the thing that they don't tell you in college before you get recruited is you're actually gonna work out a lot. Like they're gonna push you, and it's up to you if you want to get better at something. I knew that I wasn't happy of where I was in my volleyball career. I wanted to be that top player. I wanted to be the leader of the team. But I knew I needed to get physical. And I knew by getting physical, I'm going to get confident. And by being confident, I'm going to score. So it's all linked up. So my off season in the spring, when I'm still playing indoor, in the spring, this is when off season is, I grinded. I was on top of it at practice, working out, and we had great coaches because in the college team you get trainers, and it was amazing, honestly. And yeah, I do think that was the biggest difference, and I do think that it helped a lot in my confidence on the court. And I don't like to work out, honestly. Like, let's be honest. Like, I just knew I needed to do that to be able to get to the level.
Okay. And they in your French high school, that wasn't a big there wasn't a big dedication to lifting.
No, we had maybe once a week. They didn't teach me how to hang clean or hurt my shoulder. That's exactly what happened. And now, unfortunately, like because I didn't learn the right technique, hang cleans like are not good for my body because every time I will do one,
You're
I'll
yanking
get hurt.
something.
So yeah, which was really important. I think that to learn proper technique in working out, I think it's huge because I do think that lifting weights it's great. It can really help you on the court, but if you don't have the proper technique, then it actually can hurt pretty bad. Yeah.
Quick pause for a commercial break. If you guys are listening and you are interested in just bumping up your physicality as well, we have two programs for you. One of them is a 60-day max vertical, but the other one is our 21-day mobility and strength foundations program. And that's where we give you really simple mobility and body weight moves and very lightweight strengthening exercises. And in the videos, they're follow along with me videos. We give you all of the technical reminders. We tell you to start with lightweight, and we coach you through the videos. And if you're in the complete player program where you can post on our private community, every time you do one of those workouts, you just post a couple of reps and say, hey, am I doing this right? Do you guys have any tips for better technique? And then we go in there and we coach you and we give you those reminders so that you can learn how to work out before we get you into that big meaty program, which is the 60-day max vertical. So 60-day has some more options for higher level lifts, but the 3-week 21-day mobility program, it'll get you started, it'll get you off your butt. It starts with just body weight and light bands, and then we move you up to just like very light dumbbells. so that you can start that strength base, get your technique. You can go through it once, you can go through it twice if that's what makes you comfortable. And then we start moving you up to some higher level plyometrics and heavier weights, which will then show their benefit in your game. So if you're interested in that, head to betteratbeach.com. We've got the 6 a.m. X vertical, or you can just get started with a 3-week, 21-day program. And I promise you, it is easy enough for anyone, my grandma, to follow. So start there, fix any old pains, fix any immobility problems where you might be tight or you might be sore somewhere. It's very much a rehab program. So that 21-day program is what I use to come back from a broken foot in 3 weeks' time to be able to play the Pottstown Rumble, which is a very arduous, crazy, long grass doubles tournament. So if it worked for me coming back from a broken foot, it'll work for you starting from zero. So I highly recommend that program if you're interested. And you can see from Marine's experience, just adding lifting gets our game to a complete other level. And so I highly recommend that you learn the right way. If you don't have a trainer, or if you just want to work with somebody online and people who know volleyball, you're more than welcome. Bring it on the Complete Player program. Okay, that's our commercial break. But so then you played indoor. For how long did you play indoor?
So I had technically 2 seasons plus COVID.
Okay. Right.
So
whatever that counts as. Yeah.
Yeah. So certain school had different rules during COVID, but during COVID, we were not allowed to compete at all. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have any, which was kind of sad because the year before, so my junior year, we win the first trophy and we had the same, really similar team for my senior year. And we were like, this is the year we're going to go win national. And then COVID, which was really hard. So I never actually had a senior season with that team. And growing up with a team from, if you're the same class of age and growing up with them and seeing the improvement is amazing. Honestly, it's so cool to play with those girls and get along and having the same goal and really believing that you can win. And that's something that French people were pretty not like always think of the worst, but we're never like, I think that's the American mindset, is believing that we can win it. Everyone think they're going to go professional. Everyone think we're going to be the best in the world. And that was amazing, honestly. But unfortunately, COVID hit, so I didn't have my indoor season. That's when I started playing beach.
How did that come about? Had you ever played beach before?
Yeah. So my sophomore year, I usually go home. So the season of indoor is usually from August till December. In December, I go home to France for a Christmas break. Then I go back in January. January till May is off season for indoor. And then I go home for the summer until I have to go back. Every summer, there is like a French league, a couple tournament in France, and I started playing that my sophomore year. I'm an outside hitter. One of my strength is being fast. I improve my jump. I love being in the sand. That was fun. I started playing, but more like indoor-ish player, don't really have a lot of beach technique. But knowing that, I knew that I wanted to do my master. I wanted to get an MBA. And beach volleyball in the NCAA is considered a different sport. So if you didn't know, in the NCAA, you get 4 years of eligibility in one sport. And then you get an extra 5th year in a different sport. Which is great for volleyball players because volleyball and beach volleyball are similar. So I did technically 4 years of indoor and I got recruited for beach volleyball my 5th year. But before that, COVID hit. I had couple a video from France for me playing on the French tour that I created, and I was able to send, but this time I only did it by myself, my recruitment for beach volleyball, the NCAA, because I knew the system, I knew what I needed to do, I knew what I needed to put in my video, and I already know all the visa requirements and everything. So I did it by myself, and I think that was the easiest recruitment I ever done. And and I wish I would have done it before. But during the fall season, did not have practice, indoor practice. So I started playing beach volleyball. I met DJ. He helped me. He helped me a lot because he was already playing and practicing in Florida. So I learned a lot from him. Played a couple tournaments with Sarah Putt.
No way.
Yeah, that's how I got recruited. But so I
Man,
played with
whole
Sarah
Better at
Putt.
Beach family before.
I played with Sarah Putt, and we played against Larissa and Lily.
Oh my
If you don't
gosh.
know Larissa, she is one of the top player ever for
If not
Brazil.
the. I think she's
Yeah,
the most
she's a
decorated player in
yeah,
history,
I think
right?
yes. And we lose a game, but we go to tiebreak. But
What?
yes, so it was my first semester like actually playing, but I'm really competitive. So I will fight. It's ugly, but I will fight, and I will try to make it work. And I still play volleyball. I'm a good indoor player. I have some skills. I'm not new to volleyball. I'm just new to beach volleyball.
Sure.
And
And
I
Florida's pretty
was
jumpy, so there's
yeah,
some help from the sand for indoor
yeah,
players because it's pretty thin, but still.
yeah. So at that time I was playing left side blocker. So I sent my video again. So when I had my French video, I sent it over to the top 25 school in the country for beach volleyball. I got a couple
Wow.
answer. They were like, "Oh, we'd like to see more. Do you have more recent video?" Because this was before COVID, since during that summer
Hmm.
there was nothing really. I didn't
Nobody has recent
play.
video.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to practice, I wanted to get recruited, and I knew I needed a full scholarship to keep going or I was going home.
Hmm.
Um, I make video and I send that one video with Sarah Putt to same thing, top 20 school. I'm sending again, same thing. And I immediately in the next 5 minutes, I get answer from LMU, UCLA, Stetson,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I forgot which one, but I had good, and I was like, wait a second, like I'm not that good at beach volleyball. But so yeah, so I got offered from, I had a full scholarship from Stetson, which is in Florida, which at the time was a top 20 in the country. I got an offer from LMU, which was top 5 in the country, and I got an offer from UCLA, which is also top 5 in the
Oh
country,
yeah.
which was insane. But I'm lucky that I had DJ that kind of knew the coaches there. So as soon as I got that offer from LMU and I told him who the coach was, who was John Mayer, he was like, "You have to go there." He was like, "There's no way." And I had a really good feeling with the coach. I loved talking to John. Betsy was the assistant coach at the time. So it was amazing. And I also had a call with UCLA, and everyone is like, "Oh, it's UCLA. How can you say no to UCLA?" Which I really hesitated, but they didn't offer me housing,
Hmm.
which it was still doable, but and I had a better feeling with the coaches from LMU, honestly. And there I had off-campus housing, which was great. So
Nice.
I went and got recruited at LMU, which was insane. I
Yeah.
can't believe. Like I
And
just started playing
for
beach
them to
volleyball.
recruit for only 1 year,
Yeah.
like
So
knowing that you're only going to be there for 1 year.
yes, And that's the thing of LMU. At that time I got recruited, it was a really growing program. And they were trying to find this little gem in certain school to be able to build a strong team, and kind of invest more in the grad players to be able to have a higher ranked and then have better recruits coming in.
Oh, so they were thinking long term.
They were thinking long term.
That's smart.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great for me. Yeah, but yeah, so easiest recruitment ever. Honestly, I just sent emails. I got on a couple calls, got offered, and next thing you know, I'm in California playing beach volleyball, left side blocker, actually, which is funny because if you don't know me now as a player, I'm a right side defender. Got recruited as a left side blocker, did my entire fall off season, which is in NCAA. D1 off season is from August till December. You start kind of playing in December, and then the season is from February till May.
Mm-hmm.
And season January come back. We come back from winter break. I become a right side defender. Never played defense in my life, but it was great. I'm so glad, honestly. But yeah, that was my college experience. So anyone listening, I did junior college, Division 2 indoor, Division 1 beach volleyball. And long story short, but I also ended up playing my last year, my COVID year in NAIA. So it just show you out there how it doesn't really matter what division you play for. You don't need to go play in the best NCAA D1. I was an All-American indoor for D2. I was an All-American D1 for beach volleyball. And I am the same person. It's I think anyone can play anywhere. The school that you play for, it's not who you are. I think if you can make an impact on a program, like I believe I made an impact in that D2 program in indoor, it's a lot more valuable than playing for a big D1 and being on the bench. And that's my biggest takeaway that I had in my college experience is you don't play, you want to play on the court. You want to find that school where you're going to have some playing time. It doesn't matter the name of the school, as long as you have fun and you improve. Yeah.
And then you put in your own work on the side. I mean, like, as well as, showing up to practice is the bare minimum. And if you know that you're going to that smaller school, so if anyone thinks that Marine is an outlier, she is, first of all. But for my history, I played a year and a half of club men's volleyball at University of Delaware. We didn't have a men's team. And I did the same. People were just like, put together a recruiting video, see what you do, email a bunch of people. And the coaches that I emailed, a bunch of them never got back. Some of them were brutally honest. They're like, all of our guys are touching 11 foot and you're only touching 10-10 right now. And I was just like, okay, so that's it, like over. But the place I ended up going to, George Mason, they didn't respond until I sent last ditch emails in like July, when I had sent out all of my tape in, I think maybe April and May. And my mom was like, hey, isn't that something that you really want to go for? Don't you think you should give it one more shot? And so I sent something, and it must have hit him at the right time, because he didn't see the first 2 or 3 emails. And he goes, oh, hey, there's actually still time to transfer. Send me something else. Let me see. And he was just like, well, you don't know how to play volleyball, but you're athletic, so maybe we can teach you in a couple years. And that was it. I packed my bags and I was like, okay, let's go to this new school and then grind away. And same thing. So wherever you're playing first, just work your tail off. And then you can take those stepping stones. And if you feel like you're behind because you didn't play 4 years of, juniors tournaments in the US, because I never played a single club tournament in high school, right? Didn't have a single club practice. I played for half a year of my high school season, and then it was all the other sports. But you took the stepping stones, worked your tail off, go. And then when you don't hear responses, just beat down their door and make them kick you out of the office.
Yeah.
The negative to that is that you, like, in both ways, you don't ever see them again.
Yeah.
If you don't hear a
What's the
response and
worst
you don't
thing?
get an
Yeah.
email, you don't ever see them again. If they
Yeah.
say, no, you're not good enough to be here. Okay, great. Then I'm out and I'm on to the next office. So just keep sending them and force that person to say no. They don't look badly on you. They just recognize you as somebody who hustles, at least in
Yeah.
one part of their life.
Mm-hmm.
So the good part about you knocking on somebody's doors, they go, you know, if they had tried this hard just to get my attention, maybe it's somebody who really wants it. And coaches are always looking for people who really want it.
100%.
And that's one indicator, you know,
Yeah.
because they do get some of those athletic rock stars that are skilled and athletic, but don't really want to be there. That happens on a lot of teams. So to have somebody who's maybe less athletic, but desperately wants to be there, yeah, I'll take that guy 9 out of 10 times.
Mm-hmm. No, and your mindset, and I think that's also what got me recruited in multiple places, is I really believed in the team that we're playing in. I gave everything I had in practice. I was always on top of it. I was always early at practice. I will always work really hard. I was one of those players that is going to work really hard, and you're going to see it. I'm going to fail, yeah, but one day it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
And
What
I
did
think
hard
that
work look like for you? Was it extra reps? Was it winning the races, like in conditioning? What, lifting extra?
Everything. I would always, like, we had in indoor, you do run a lot of suicides. If people don't know what suicides are, it's you basically run to end line to end line, then to end line to 10-foot line, back and forth until whatever number, and you have to go under a certain second. I would go until throwing up. I will be the one that's like really hard working. If we had testing day, I will go until my body can't anymore. And that's, I think, what coaches liked about me is that I always worked hard and I don't complain. And
Nice.
that's what made me a leader, and that's what made me a great player and a good teammate. Is I will always push people around me to work harder, because I will tell them work harder than me. I will be like, okay, you work hard, okay, work harder than me. You want to be better than me, then work harder than me. And
put in more hours, put in more time,
yeah,
run
and
faster.
it's silly, but when I see, and I have the proof actually, my junior year, one of my roommate, she came in, she was a freshman, 6'2", from Canada, so nice but really frail, but so talented. And she came with another group of freshmen. But I took her under my wing and I was like, you're not going to do what they're going to do. You're not going to go out all the time. You're going to go and work hard. The year after I left, she was the leader of the team. She became an All-American. And then to that day, she calls me and she like, thank you. She's like, it's because I had someone like you to show me the path that I was able to do what I did. And it's okay to not have that person. You're not going to have that person everywhere, but you have yourself. I didn't have someone to push me. I hit rock bottom and I was like, okay, I don't like it out there. And then I was able to go up from there. But I do think that playing in the US and going to college was one of the best decisions I made. It got me here. It's been 8 years now, which is insane. And I found my way around. I found my way to stay. I found a way to work through volleyball while I was a junior. It was mandatory for me to do an internship. So I was able to find an internship through my school and work unpaid. But from there, I just worked my way around until here.
Yeah.
Working for Better at Beach.
Nice. And
Yeah.
we're happy to have you. Cool. What a story, man.
Yeah.
inspiring, to say the least, and it fires me up. And hearing all of that detail fires me up even more than I already was to have you on our team. So just want to thank you for finally saying yes. I think I followed my own advice by sending you a message or an email every 2 months and be like, want to come to our team yet? Do you really like that other job? Cool. Yeah, and guys, if you are listening, we're going to do a few more episodes about this, but we are also going to start a program that's meant to help both internationals and juniors navigate their way through college, especially the parents who are getting there nervous and you can run around. And I know from my circle of friends that are putting their kids into programs and figuring out where to get lessons and what clubs and how to contact colleges. And like one of my good friends, he just sent his daughter to college after 4 years of him calling me every 3 months being like, I don't know what to do, but we found the way, and he had me to lean on. And a lot of people don't have those connections of people who have been through it, of people who have personal connections to all of those college coaches and understand the landscape. So I really encourage you guys to follow along as we embark on this journey, and we keep trying to help make that easier for parents and juniors, and just, get rid of all the big, scary, imaginary monsters and say, here's the easy way, just try this. So I'm excited for that program and the evolution and Marine's future work in that. And if you are not following her on Instagram, Marine, what's your Instagram account?
That's my name here, Marine Kinna. Just my full name. You can find me. Feel free to message me any question. Honestly, I have a lot of people messaging me about me being in the US, how it works, how I did it. I always answer, so feel free to message me. I would love to help.
Cool. And she will be in all of our Facebook groups, and we will get her to as many camps as we can, but she's going to also be busy in the mothership organizing those camps. So when we can get her as a coach, we will, but she's got bigger fish to fry with us, and you will see a lot of her. And she's currently competing on the AVP, and she's here in Hermosa Beach, and her and DJ are playing in the dark, as me and my wife saw on the strand. We saw your light set up, and I was just like, what is going on? They set up lights on the poles in Hermosa Beach, and we're playing at night, and me and my wife were on our date night, and I was just like, this is DJ too. But it was cool to see.
Yeah. Not enough sunlight during the day. We have to find a way.
Yeah, I guess so. Cool. All right, guys. From me, from our new team member, Marine, I hope you really enjoyed this. I loved this episode. If you did too, please make sure that you subscribe, like it, follow it wherever you are. And if you want to leave a comment, or if you have questions on any of this, comment around the video, comment around the podcast, and help us build a great program by asking all of the questions that you have. Because without your questions, we can't build the best program possible. So we really encourage you to get involved in those comments, ask those questions, and then come on over to our Facebook group, which is Volleyball Tips for Coaches, Players, and Parents. It's a free public Facebook group, and you can also ask any of those questions in there. And then when you join our program, you get our private Facebook group where we are in there constantly helping you with technique, strategy, all volleyball questions, and soon recruiting and college and international transfer questions. So that's it. Marine, anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you for listening to that point.
All right. From all of us at Better at Beach, thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the sand.